What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So every few months I make a video talking about how I go about making silver, what do I do in this game, and like what my upgrade goals are. So I thought I'd share basically how I play the game, what I do, and maybe you guys can take notes from that or something. But with that said, I don't play this game like 10 hours a day like I used to back in the day. I just kind of play casually, so take that with a grain of salt. But I'll just run down what I do, and whether you're a beginner all the way to end game, you're going to make a different amount just based on life skill mastery, gear, and everything. But this is just what I do. Anyway, let's start with the weekly quests that I do. Generally, going down into Edania, we do the weekly, reward thingy for the boss. This is a nice chunk of money, but we use it to basically upgrade our Edana armor, which yeah, I pitied this Oct, and you guys saw that video was not great. About to pity another one in 1 or 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks from now. But anyway, slow gains, but yeah, Edana armor is something else. Yeah, so after that, what do? We do the weekly black shrines. And you should be doing your solos and your party ones. So if you don't have a group for parties, you just do the group finder, or what is it, the party finder. I'd recommend doing it like Fridays or Saturdays usually have the most advertisements going up. So just do that around then. And that's a good chunk of silver. Even if you can't do all the highest ones, like even if you can only do some hards and some mostly normals, it's still better than not doing it. And then the weekly boss, this is the one you should do if you have for max silver, if you can, and have the gear. But if you are a new player, or I guess not new player, but like less geared, the ones I'd recommend are the early game ones at like Sangoon, if you can, at 330, which I think that is entry level end game. So Sangoon, Golden Pig are not too bad to learn if you don't like doing bosses. But aside from that, Apex isn't too bad either. Anyway, what else do I do? Generally, I try to do my weekly Garmoths before, like 3 of them, especially because we have an event going on. And then try to do these if you're going for the like crystals that you need, the crystal upgrades for all of these, or your amplified light stones, just because these end times are... Actually, you can buy these nowadays to crystallize off the market, but back in the day I had to grind mine, so I'm just kind of like in a habit of at least trying to do them, or one of them at least. And then aside from that, if you sometimes I do the Ataraxian when I have a group going, and also the weekly Red Heart, which is basically the final GLaDOS boss. That one's not too bad these days. That's been nerfed a couple times. And then recently we got the Altar of Blood, which after doing it once, all you have to do is like the highest tier you can. And then so like the highest one I've gotten to, like I'm on 21. I haven't done it, but we've cleared 20 before. So that one is pretty good. However, the main reward of that doesn't really sell. So like you're getting all these resplendents, right? Over here, but they don't sell. And same with the base ones, even at minimum. I wish if this went up to like a 400 stack from like 300 to 400, I guarantee you these would sell a lot faster than 300 to 350-ish. So anyway, that's something that Pearl Abyss could fix in the future. Make this go up to 400, and I guarantee you these will be a lot more valuable than they are now. Yeah, so those are the weekly quests I do, just a bunch of reoccurring. Make sure to do all your new ones. These are event quests going on. And going into life skills. So the first thing I do is Imperial Delivery every day, if you have no idea how this works. So you look at this number, and that's how many deliveries you can do every day. Ideally, you want to be doing the highest tier you can. So Guru cooking boxes, you get that number by contribution points divided by 2, and then whatever your cooking level is, like the highest tier, so Guru in theory, and then that's about, I would probably say like 150-ish mil after the calculations for all the material costs to package all these boxes and turn it in. So it's profit every day, even if you were to buy the materials off the market and just make it yourself instead of everything else. But it's about 150 mil for a 1 minute activity every day. Pretty nice to do. And every now and then you get a bunch of seals every day for the turn-ins. And then once you get like 10,000 of them, I'm pretty sure the best thing to do is probably turn these into one of these, whichever one costs the most, and then sell it. So that's good. Life skilling I do a little bit more frequently because some days I just don't feel like grinding. Some days I do feel like grinding. I do a lot of gathering, which is surprisingly, well, it's not really low-key. It's just profitable. It's just one of those active things. Spend like an hour a day making sure my energy isn't full, and that's probably another like bill or two depending on if we get the lucky, if we get a lot of sharps and everything. So yeah, I do at least an hour of gathering a day, whether I grind or not. Fishing is fishing, whether you get the lucky drop or not. It's always easy money. And then if I have a lot of materials excess, I just cook, process, or alchemy depending on if I need them for grinding or whatnot. And yeah, farming whenever that happens. I should probably try sailing and bartering again, just because they buffed it and made those tier 6 and 7 materials. I heard it was really good, so should probably get back into it. But yeah, life skilling money comes from gathering for the most part, and then sometimes cooking and processing. And I use farming just for contribution point upgrades. Next thing we do, or I guess other ways of making silver, is we talked about this in a recent video, how to get your family fame up. So that's like 120 mil just by logging in every day. And of course, right now we've had pretty decent login rewards, especially this week, and next week we'll have good ones. So we're getting a fat amount of Cron stones. Good luck to everyone who's opening them. Hopefully you get the big boxes worth multiple thousands of Crons. I got the 100 one. Feels bad, but it is what it is. Aside from that, we're getting a bunch of login rewards that are pretty good this month. And then, you know, this one standard as always. And then after that, I do a bit of grinding. So with my gear, I can grind basically every spot in the game. I've been testing a lot of other spots again, and I guess cycling between the 3 endgame ones, which is Zephyros, Star's End, and Sakraya Underwater. And if you want consistent silver, I think Zephyros is probably that. If you want like the RNG drops, and if you can get more of them, obviously good. Sakraya, based on the orb thingy, what color you get. If you get like yellows, reds, you're doing better than, you know, every other spot, but that's RNG. Consistent is Star's End and Zephyros for the most part. But yeah, grinding will probably always be the top amount of silver, unless you are doing very high-end min-maxing for life skills. I think cooking and alchemy are very competitive. Sailing and bartering is actually, well, I don't know how much it is an hour, but I've heard that people are making between like 3 to like 7 bill a day off of bartering, which is kind of insane, but you spend a lot of time there. I'll test that out at some point. Aside from that, that's basically what I do to make silver. And you know, every now and then you just do like group bosses with your guild, like the guild bosses that go on all these things. Obviously it's once a week, but it's about 5 bill and about a 30-minute activity, like just running down bosses. Maybe a little bit more if you do con, but each one should take you like from getting point A to B and then doing it like a 5-minute thing. And then con is the one that takes a little bit longer. I think our guild does level 3s for everything, or whatever the highest tier is. And yeah, so aside from that, grinding is a majority of the silver. Life skilling, I would say, is a good supplement to whatever you make. And then whatever weekly quests and dailies you do, always good. And I think that's about it. So how much do I actually make like a week is probably closer to 100 bill, and that's playing casually. If I were to just lock in and grind like 5 hours a day, I probably could be making like triple of that, but I don't. So anyway, if you have any questions, I'm happy to point you in the right direction. Feel free to drop a comment or join the Discord if you have any questions. I have a lot of channels for gear help, just questions in general, and all that stuff. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Would love to see you guys return. And we got a bunch of upcoming content and stuff to talk about next week. We have a huge PvP balance change and new events, so we'll definitely be doing a lot of stuff going forward. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Peace.